Hi guys! Here's our video! This is our new class mascot. We need to think of a name for him. He's kind of not the prettiest unicorn, so anyway. TBD on the name. Alright, so today we are doing 45, 45, 90, and 30, 60, 90 triangles. We're going to start with 45, 45, special right triangles. So what you want to do is you want to think of each leg, and remember, the legs make up the right triangle, and each leg is going to be called N. So you would call this side N, and this side N. Alright? They are called N. And the hypotenuse, which will be, if I can keep my pens at bay, right here, has a rule of n rad 2. That's why we were simplifying radicals. So let's go ahead and take notes in this little box here. A 45, 45, 90 triangle will always have two congruent legs. A 45, 45, 90 triangle will always have two congruent legs. Two congruent legs. Okay, so let's worry about how we find these. Well, again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight my two green ones. And this is N. And look, hey, they tell me N is 8. And there's X, which I need to find. But I know that N is equal to 8. And if this is N, and this N equals 8, then I know that X has to equal 8. The legs are congruent, so if you know one leg, then you know the other leg. And right here, my hypotenuse. That's why. Well, remember, I told you the rule for your hypotenuse up here. It's N, which we already know is 8. Not quite sure why I wrote X here. Then this side would be N rad 2, which equals 8 rad 2. So now we know that Y is equal to 8 rad 2. And I knew that this was a 45, 45, 90 triangle. 1, because that's what we're talking about. And 2, because, hey, there's 90, there's 45. So this angle has no choice but to be 45. All right, let's do another one. Let's do number 2 together. All right. So again, if that's 45 and that's 90, then this has to be 45. All right. I know that this is N, and that this is also N, which means that this is N rad 2. Okay. Well, N and N, and we know that X will be the same, so X is 25. My legs are the same in a 45, 45, 90. And if this is N rad 2, and I know that N is 25, then I know this is 25 rad 2. So 25 rad 2 is my answer. Okay, let's go ahead and skip down to number 3. All right, again, 45, 45, 90. Highlight my hypotenuse. I'm going to highlight my legs. All right. And this is N that I'm trying to find, and this is N. All right, and N rad 2 equals 13 rad 2. So this is where things get a little bit tricky. All right. And this is why we've learned how to rationalize the denominator. So up here where I have a little bit more space, I'm going to write N rad 2 equals 13 rad 2. Right? I'm going to divide by rad 2 and divide by rad 2. These cancel out, and these cancel out as well. So I now know that N equals 13. Perfect. All right. Well, if n equals 13, and x is equal to n, and y is equal to n, then both of these are 13. Okay, let's now look at number 6. Again, my two legs are green, and they're equivalent, so n and n, and then my hypotenuse is n rad 2. Alright, well here again, I see that I don't have my two legs, so I need to figure out what the heck they are. I'm going to do n rad 2 equals 24, because I know that my hypotenuse is 24. So 24. I'm going to divide by rad 2 and divide by rad 2, and this is where I'm going to run into a problem, because I can't simplify this. So I need to multiply both the top and the bottom by rad 2. This becomes n equals 24 rad 2 over 2, and these two numbers outside of my radical sign can simplify. They both go into 2, so this becomes 1, and this becomes 12, and n equals 12 rad 2. Well, both my legs are n, so x and y are both 12. Goodness. 12 rad 2. 12 rad 2. Please do 4 and 5 on your own in order to get full credit. And let's move on to 30, 60, 90. Okay. We're going to label the shorter leg, which is always across from the 30-degree triangle. All right, my shorter leg will be right here. Smallest angle, across from it is the smallest leg. Again, we're going to call it n. So this is n. All right, across from my longest leg, not hypotenuse, it's across from 60. So, across from 60 is n rad 3. All right, my longer leg across from 60 is n rad 3. N rad 3. And my hypotenuse is a little different. It's going to be 2n. Whatever n is multiplied by 2. 2n. So let's write our little note here. In a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the shorter leg will be opposite the 30-degree angle. .30-degree angle, and the longer leg will be opposite the 60-degree angle. And the longer, whoops, sorry, somebody just came in, I got a little distracted, leg, and the longer leg will be opposite the 60-degree angle. Okay, so let's try this on for size. I'm going to identify my 60-degree angle, and I'm going to know that this angle right here is 30. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight my shorter leg in orange. It's across from my 30-degree angle. I'm going to go ahead and highlight my longer leg, which is across from 60, in green. And of course my hypotenuse in pink. Well, I know across from 30 is n, so I know that n equals 5. I know that across from my hypotenuse is 2n, and across from my 60 is n rad 3. Well, If I know that n is 5, and I know that y is 2n, that would be 2 times 5, which equals 10. So I know y is 10. And if I know that n is 5, and across from 60 is x, then that would be 5 rad 3. Okie doke. So that one's not too crazy. Let's move down here. Here, I have a 30 and 90, so this one must be 60. Across from my 60 degree angle, I will highlight in green. Across from my 30 degree angle, my smallest, I'll highlight in orange. And across from my longest leg, across from my 90 degree angle, my hypotenuse, I'll highlight in pink. Alright, so across from 30 is n. Across from my 90 is n, 2n, which equals 32. If I divide by 2 and divide by 2, I know that n equals 16. Oh, look at that. I now know that since x represents n, that x is 16, and that y is n rad 3. Well, I now know that n is 16, so I know that y is 16 rad 3. Okay, let's look at number 5, where things get a little bit more real here. Alright, well, across from my 30, I'm going to have x, and don't forget that that's n. Across from my 60, I have 20, and don't forget that that's n rad 3. And across from my 90 is my hypotenuse, my longest leg, and that is n rad 3. Alright, so we need to solve right here for n, since that's the only side they give us. I'm going to have 20 equals n rad 3. I'll divide by rad 3, and divide by rad 3. Oh, I have to rationalize. So multiply both the top and the bottom by rad 3. Divide. I'm left with 20 times rad 3 over 3. And I can't simplify that any further. So I now know that n is equal, or x, to 20 rad 3 over 3. And y over here, why did I write n rad 3? Which is 2n, is equal to 2 times 20 rad 3 over 3, or 40 rad 3 over 3. Alright, I expect you guys to do the rest of these 3 problems on your own, and that is it for 8.2, special right triangles.